Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi LiveENODING. In this episode, I'm just gonna talk through my latest node setup creations created using Sphere add-on inside Blender. And this is kind of like a work in progress. This is not exactly clear what it is actually creating, but it's kind of interesting. This is almost like if you think about it, like a Inkblot kind of pattern, like a random symmetry pattern. When you look at it from like a certain angle, it's kind of resembles something, and it's a bit vague. Like a Spreadshirt developer said, Zevi said, this is more like very rough. It's very like very vague. It's not like kind of like a design. When you design something, it has some kind of purpose. In this case, it's pretty much random. But I do see some very interesting design here that I can be explored. I think for me it looks like kind of like a robot kind of armory. So if you add some kind of basic feature of robot, bipedal robot, then yeah, you might end up with something that's quite believable. I don't know. I think it's something that should be explored anyhow, even though it's pretty random. So I can make some changes here, and then the whole design will change. So I was kind of looking at this robo wrestling thing in Japan. Oh, I mistyped wrestling. There's a lot of videos on this robot wrestling, and the interesting part is that the robot was based on a certain base setup at least. And see the arm, the legs. This is like the most basic of the robot. I think this is something that we can sort of create inside Blender. I don't know if it's gonna be like a real robot yet. I don't know if it can be printed, but from the base model, you can add like armory and all kind of design based on it. And it depending on the move, of course. That's what makes this like a very interesting design approach. Yeah, so I was actually looking at this work by Shigeto Maeda as well, Professor Shigeto Maeda, and I remember some of his creature design made inside Blender. This is also very interesting. This creature is I think needs some kind of armory. I don't know if this can be for the creature. I don't know. So it's interesting to think about the design of creature. Like for example, I was recently looking at this spider crab, which is like creatures that has both the exoskeleton and kind of armory, and they look quite fascinating. It looks quite scary as well, but they are quite beautiful. And if you look at the shape of the body, it's also like kind of random. Normally we think of crab. Crab looks something like this. It's based on design, and then they put the eyes and antenna and the hands, the arm, and then this the legs part. They all serve some kind of purpose. Well, spider as well. And I think in terms of creature evolutions, if you look at insects, insect has a lot of beautiful form of design. Human is actually the most kind of the most boring design in terms of design, because it only have one head and then two arms, two legs. You know, that's human. That makes a humans. But of course, human is very sophisticated, have some kind of special brain, and the hand of human actually very powerful. It can do, you know, it learns to use chopsticks, it learns to use mouse and use pen and brush, all kind of interesting stuff happening there. But insects and all kind of creatures have more intricate kind of design that's kind of beyond our, sometimes beyond our imagination. Sometimes butterfly, I try to make butterfly as well at some point. This ladybug is actually a good one to start with, and also this millipede centipede, and not worms. What is this? What is the creature before the butterfly? Caterpillar. Okay, caterpillar is also very interesting. Bugs is actually very interesting, like a spider or crabs. It's like they change shapes over time. So as the body grow, it changes its shells like very obviously. This also caterpillar. Um, Normally I don't pay attention to caterpillar. It looks very scary, but you know this gonna be like a butterfly at some point. But the design of it is very much procedural, and yeah, this is reminds me of the GMP creature by Shigeto Maeda as well. And this creature is like a folded origami, and then it changed shapes. Look at this. This is like all very much procedural kind of design. Everything should be able to be created here using Blender and add-on like SphereChalk, I think. So yeah, the setup for this one is actually very simple. I started, in this case, I really started from literally just a 3D cube, and I put some symmetrical points. And what's going on is that it's gonna do like a subdivisions. Like this is gonna be done automatically using the Voronoi 3D, and then what I did next is kind of randomize it, totally randomize this form shapes symmetrically. It's gonna scatter it randomly, so that's why we get this kind of form of something that looks kind of believable, like a kind of like armory. I don't know if this is like really something or not. Maybe it's just pretty random. But anyway, this is easy to create, and then you can explore further all kind of the design based on this. It's not, I don't know, it's sometimes it looks pretty believable, you know, like I don't know, there's also, I need to mention, I like watching anime, and then I'm not like a huge fan of Gundam, but I'm more into the design of like Evangelion, like in terms of robots. Gundam actually, however, Gundam design is actually quite beautiful. Some of them like and it has a lot of variations. I don't know what they did to create all this. Maybe it's just like a hand. They generate, these robots evolve over time, and there are like hundreds of design of these robots. Some of them have wings and all sort of stuff. But I think it was also based on like old school Japanese samurai armory, or I don't know. There's a mix, a lot of mixture of this guy. It's very beautiful looking. I think this is kind of roughly trying to simulate that. Like this guy, see, this guy looks like, this guy is like a backpack of the robots here. Here you can really add the middle part, you know, add the arm and the head. I don't know, the head should be just like looking like a head. The body part really doesn't matter at this stage, because it's like just like a bipedal kind of creature, like human. It's the most boring shapes, but it's like also the most efficient somehow. So that's Gundam, and there's also Evangelion. Evangelion doesn't have as many creatures, but this robot design, the very famous one, I think EVA-01, it's kind of looking quite beautiful. It looks like a very exaggerated human body, very elongated, but very interesting design. Anyway, it looks like a dragon as well. But the intricate design is that's something that's hard to. The hard part is actually to make everything to work together, and make it believable, you know, like it needs like a beautiful form, and then it also needs to work when it is animated and in locomotion. I know from the top, you know, it's from the side. It's not, I think it's not too bad in it. See, if you watch my older live noding video, you also notice I made a couple experimentation using meta balls, and also there is one that's kind of like a based on a tree, kind of tree branching, and it is still like symmetrical. But if you make like a symmetry like this, and then you start from something like that, and then you might end up with like a beautiful design. So this is like a, back then I was actually using skin modifier for this, and you start with something like that, and then of course you have a middle part. It doesn't have to be like a human character, but we get used to it to think that this form is the most sophisticated. I don't know, but you can add a few more arms and legs. Yeah, anyway, I think for the future live noding I might touch on this again. I don't know, might look at some of robot design, like even the very basic and simple one. Let me quickly, yeah, actually Wally and Eve. This guy is actually very interesting, something that we can try inside SphereChalk and Blender. This guy is very procedural. It's like also like origami. This guy can go back into a box, so that's very interesting. Yeah, so that's pretty much my talk and lecture on this Inkblot kind of robot design. So it's a weird thing, but I guess try this yourself. Try like just have a box, start with a box or something else, like different shapes, and then scatter some points, mirror it, and then make it like a Voronoi Fracture, cell fracture, and then place each one of them on the points, and then you'll get something like this. And there are like unlimited variations of this robot. See, as I keep changing the frame, I'll get a different design. If I change the parameter, this thing will also change again. Like in this case, I randomize. See, this is the same shapes, but I just scatter it differently, and I'm getting all kind of different design. Well, it's not like truly design per se, but still it's like a Inkblot design is always looking weirdly abstract and believable somehow. I don't know, but the thing is, maybe our imagination, like our brain, kind of made up a lot of things and try to, okay, that actually makes sense. That looks like a robot. Maybe this is like for the weapon, and this is for, I don't know. And then this robot's a little bit chubby, so this is has bigger leg, and I don't know, maybe this is not like a leg, this is like a wheel. I don't know. Yeah, so a lot of questions, but anyway, this is just a start, you know, just a different exploration of the idea of being able to generate like a robot creatures or some kind of new creatures using Blender and SphereChalk add-on. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.